Now, it appears the Senate is prepared to pass an additional $2 billion for the Cash for Clunkers program before it takes a recess at the end of the week. We heard that from Harry Reid. Who stands to benefit most, though? Joining us to tackle that question is David Kelleher. He owns 2 Chrysler dealerships in Philadelphia and has been in the business since 1992. Erich Merkle is an industry analyst and president of AutoEconomy.com. He joins us from Grand Rapids, Michigan. George Augstaitis is an industry analyst with CSM Worldwide and joins us from Southfield, Michigan. And Jessica Caldwell, an analyst at Edmunds.com, joining us from Santa Monica, California. Thank you so much for joining us. And let me start with you, David, considering you're in the trenches there. Is this program, now that we know it's going to go forward, there's no reason to debate it, is this program actually working?
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I was skeptical as well. In fact, I had a meeting with some other dealers about a month ago when we all thought to ourselves, boy, this is, probably not going to be a big deal. And anybody that has this type of car probably isn't that credit worthy. It's going to be difficult to do a deal with. And I couldn't have been more wrong. My showrooms are packed at a level that I haven't seen in better than 2 years since we had full credit, full availability, and no recession. So, yesterday when we opened up my Dodge showroom, one of my 2 showrooms, we had 4 people waiting. We sold 5 cars before 11 o'clock and 12 for the day. I haven't seen that type of day in a long, long time.
What kind of cars, David, are they buying? Because we don't see Chryslers or Jeeps in the top 5. I thought 4 of the top 5 were foreign cars, and 1 was the Ford Focus. What are you selling?
Well, what we're selling is we're clearing out of the smaller stuff. The Dodge Avenger, for example, is a great fuel economy mid-size car. But things like our Dodge Ram, which is the 09 version, which has been more aerodynamic, lighter, gets 23 miles on the highway, that's a great counter to its predecessor or the old Fords or Chevys that people drive in the truck versions. So we're seeing it across the board. But what we're seeing here that everyone has to realize is we're seeing 2-to-1 non-clunker deals to 1 clunker deal that have been driven in by this program. So there's been a pent-up demand, and I don't think we're borrowing from tomorrow. I think we're borrowing from yesterday because people were afraid to get out and spend money. Now they have an incentive. So we're seeing deals that are converting where the people didn't qualify naturally for clunker, or we can bridge the gap on their trade value and make it a better transaction for them. So 2 out of every 3 deals I'm doing right now are non-clunkers.
Jessica, let me have you answer this, because your boss wrote an op-ed piece in the Journal saying, really, these are the kind of deals that were happening anyway. Now we're just funding them as the taxpayer and really pulling forward demand.
Yeah, of course, I think there is, that smaller portion of the market of people that see these deals, see the momentum, see all the advertisements, and go out too. Of course, that is a part of it, but I think the majority of these clunker trades, what we're seeing, 60 to 70,000 clunker-like trades per month, are people that were going to buy a vehicle anyway. So, of course, there's a residual value, but the majority of these deals are people that were already in this market.
Erich, what do you think? Are we pulling demand forward, or are we just just pulling demand forward, or are we creating a buyer that wouldn't necessarily have gone out?
Well, I think we're doing a little bit of both. But if we start taking a look at sales, there's no question that it was propped up a little bit here by the Cash for Clunkers in the month of July. And it might be a little bit in August, although I think August sales are probably going to pull back a little bit from what we saw in July. But what we need is stabilization in the labor markets. And as we get Cash for Clunkers, which is actually igniting sales here a little bit, the hope is that we can trade off Cash for Clunkers for stabilization in the labor markets, which will undoubtedly bring more people back into the showrooms as the economy improves. We've got a long ways to go before we get to long-term trend growth as it relates to auto sales, and I think that that's going to happen pretty quickly as we get towards the end of this year and certainly as we get into 2010. George, looks good.
George, let me jump in and get your take on this. I mean, are we going to, obviously we're getting cars out of the showroom, we're getting the inventory out of the dealerships, but is this going to boost production for the car makers and then obviously trickle down into the labor market?
I mean, we're going to see a little bit of boost in production from some brands, but it's not going to do anything because you got to look in the long run. In the long run, we're going to have a slower rebound because of what the labor market is. We're still going to see double-digit unemployment. We're still going to see a slow economic rebound from this recession. Nothing's going to expand quickly. We're going to, in the years past, we would have seen a quick rebound in sales and in production, but not this time around because of everything that's happening.
What, because? Is it because we're pulling demand forward? Is that what you're concerned about?
No, it's because of what the recession has done. I mean, the $14 to $15 trillion worth of wealth that American households have lost in this recession alone, and on top of that, the savings rate's at all-time low. this has sparked buyers that would not have normally bought a car, but it's pulling some demand ahead, but it's not pulling a lot of demand ahead.
All right, George, hang on a second. I want to come back and ask, at least for the companies that are seeing some demand, is it helping American companies, or are we seeing a lot of this money flow into foreign coffers? Stay with us for more on cash for clunkers after the break here on Bloomberg. All right, David Kelleher owns 2 Chrysler dealerships in Philadelphia. He's been in the business since 1992. He's joining us to talk more about the Cash for Clunker programs, as is Erich Merkle, an industry analyst, president of AutoEconomy.com. Also, George Augstaitis is here. He's an industry analyst at CSM Worldwide, and Jessica Caldwell from Edmunds.com. David, I want to start with you again, because a lot of people have been writing in with the concern that this Cash for Clunkers money, which is coming out of our pockets as American taxpayers, is going into foreign coffers because there's so many sales of Toyotas, Hondas and Hyundais. But a lot of those car companies hire American workers, and as you point out, the dealers are American as well.
Yeah, these are American businessmen that own these dealerships, and the people that work for them are American citizens. So I don't see any way to exclude them from the process in any way, shape, or form. They have to be part of the process, and it's part of the American scheme of global economy.
And, George, you also point out, I mentioned the top 5 best-selling cars in the Cash for Clunkers program. We can go ahead and bring those up. Only one of them rings American in name. Obviously, the others are all built here in American as well. But you point out these are good sellers anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the Ford Focus is #1. So you also have cars like the Camry, Corolla up there. Camry, Corolla, Civic, Accord, these cars all sell top 10 every month, and the #1 selling product in July was the F-Series. Okay, that's not on the list, but the Escape on the Cash for Clunkers list was #6. All the other cars on there are always top 10 sellers for the yearly data. So it's no surprise that these cars are top sellers for the Cash for Clunker data. They're also some of the most fuel-efficient cars out on the market right now.
Hey, Jessica, let me ask you something. When we saw the first quarter, and this is kind of a little bit of a stretch here, but first quarter mortgage refinances, we were all psyched because there was so much business there. But that was all the people, it looked like, who were doing refis for the rest of the year. We basically pulled it all forward at the beginning of the year. Do you think that we're going to see, when the program is out of money here, demand for these cars just drop?
I definitely think so. I mean, obviously, there was a lot of pent-up demand, and then there was demand pulled forward, all these people. And I think a lot of this program was based on a lot of the hype. I mean, it was all over the media. People heard about it, rushed to their dealers thinking, oh, my God, if I wait, I'm not going to be excluded. I think a wise plan would be, let's let the dust settle. Let's calculate all the deals, see what we have, and maybe, extend the program and perhaps talk about it again in October, rather than just have all the demand in the span of a week, 2 weeks, whatever happens, and just leave the rest of the year to fend for itself. Summer season is big anyhow. There's a seasonality factor here. So we're already in a strong selling point. So maybe we should reevaluate this plan come the fall.
It does look like it's going to go forward in any case, according to Harry Reid. Let me ask you, though, David, I was talking with Rhett Reichert today from Reichert Automotive, one of the biggest car dealers in the country. He was saying one of their main concerns is the computer system where they can make these claims. It's difficult to file claims, and they haven't gotten any of the money back yet from the government. Are you having the same issues?
Yeah, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. This is a wonderful stimulus package, and I've been careful not to criticize this, but I have 40 Cash for Clunker deals done right now. I have not been funded yet on one. We understand that's loosening up as of today, so I'm really keeping my fingers crossed. But nobody anticipated burning through this in 5 days. We were looking at a program that was supposed to take 3 months to process 250,000 transactions. So in all fairness to the government and the CAR's website, it's a very difficult wave that they've been given.
Do you want it to continue, David, this program?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, the people that I'm seeing in my showrooms on this are driving older cars. They've been pent up for a long time. You're not going to tell me these people were waiting to buy in November or December. These are people we're bringing into the market. The revenue that we're generating, the money that I'm spending on advertising that's going to those people, the trickle down to my employees. This money is real money that's coming into the market now that would not have been there. And I think it's going to be the bridge to the spring market where we all hope that things are going to loosen up for good.
All right. Hey, David, thanks for joining us. David Kelleher there, owner of 2 Chrysler dealerships. Erich Merkle, an industry analyst from AutoEconomy.com. George Augstaitis, an industry analyst at CSM Worldwide. And Jessica Caldwell, an analyst at Edmunds.com. We could talk about this, obviously, all day long. And we might do that after the show.